Hello, this is Dr. Alexander Haskell, the director of the Oasis for Holistic Health. And I'm going to give you sort of a simple explanation as to why we develop symptoms. This is another perspective and keeping it very simple. I'll use the example of a bowl, which could represent the body itself or an expression of an individual cell. So we're all exposed to chemicals in our environment, pesticides, herbicides, bacteria, mold, viruses, various drugs, prescriptions, etc. And then our body's own metabolic waste. And all of these would enter the body, so to speak, but we use the bowl as an example. And as it slowly fills with all these stressors, we don't really experience much symptoms until it starts to become more full, until finally the bowl is full, and the idea is that when we start spilling, the body cannot handle any more toxins, starting to spill toxins out of the system, we develop symptoms. So the first step, of course, is to remove our exposure to these insults. And then we must drain the bowl, so to speak. We must go through a purification, a detoxification of these chemicals to reduce the body's total body burden until it becomes somewhat empty and symptoms subside. So let's say for a moment this bowl represents a cell. So we're going to think of detoxification at the core of the body, which is the 50 trillion plus cells of the body. So the first thing we must do in order to help the cells to actively transport these toxins and residues out of the cell is to increase mitochondrial function, to increase ATP or energy production. And there's another video on juicing, green juices, etc., and water fasting, and how this will stimulate mitochondrial function. There's a supplement called NMN, which is the precursor to something called NAD, nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide, which is part of the cycle inside the mitochondria that makes energy. So that's a nutrient to sort of feed the mitochondria to increase mitochondrial function. And there are various IV therapies, primarily alpha-lipoic acid and NAD, to again stimulate mitochondrial function. Then you have to think about the pathways of detoxification, because as these toxins are leaving our cells, they go out into the lymph fluid, which is basically just outside the cell. This lymph fluid must be moving to transport these toxins away from the cells, otherwise they'll just be reabsorbed back into the cells again. Lymph fluid drains into the circulatory system, and then it is cleared by, the residues are cleared by liver and gallbladder primarily. And from the gallbladder, these residues, toxins, go down a tube into the intestinal tract and travel all the way through the intestines to be excreted with the stool. And then the skin is another really important pathway of detoxification, which is done primarily through sweating or saunas. So that is a presentation, very, very much an overview of the presentation of why, another reason why we develop symptoms. It still comes back to the four primary causes: nutrient deficiencies, low-grade systemic chronic infections, our exposure to environmental toxins, and thyroid hormones. So that's it for now. Thank you.